Today's topic is international trade. I'm going to tell you a quick hypothetical story about two countries. In fact, initially, the only two countries in the world. We'll call one China, we'll call the other the United States. And in my story, China wants nothing from the US, not a single item, commodity, or service. Therefore, has no incentive to export anything to the United States. Why? Because, of course, US dollars are of no use to any Chinese citizens. Okay? Let's bring in another country. We'll call this one Australia. Now, in my story, Australia wants nothing from China, therefore has no incentive to import or export anything to China because the Chinese yuan is essentially worthless in Australia. And the US wants nothing from Australia, in my example. However, Australia would love to buy US technology. And China would love to buy Australian wool. Now, the Chinese, being the smart folks that they are, have an idea. They realize that if they can somehow accumulate US dollars, they would be able to buy the wool from Australia because Australia wants dollars with which to buy technology from the US. So China decides that they can make tires cheaper and less expensive for the US citizen, less expensive than what the US citizen would pay to buy tires made in the US. So they export tires to the United States. The US citizen, acting in his own best interest, is very willing to save that money to buy tires from China. Now China has the money to buy the wool from Australia, and Australia has the money to buy the technology from the US. Everybody's happy in my example. Everybody, that is, except for the poor folks that used to make tires in the United States. In fact, in a real life case in 2009, it was the United Steelworkers Union who stepped up and lobbied for sanctions against China. Went to Washington, said, Mr. President, listen, this import of tires, under market price tires from China, is costing US jobs. We have to do something about it. And of course, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Okay. So consequently, a 35% tariff was placed on tires coming in from China, making them much more expensive, killing the incentive for the US citizen to buy them from China. US citizen goes back to buying them from the US tire makers. Everybody's happy over here on this side of the board anyway. But what's the cost? Okay, well, the cost, of course, is these dollars are no longer going to China, therefore they're no longer going to Australia to get the wool, and therefore Australia is no longer buying software, in my example, from the United States. So we helped our friends over here, but we hurt our fellow citizens over here. And it wasn't just the software industry. Of course, when we paid less for the Chinese tires, we had more money in our pocket with which to invest for our future, invest in US industry, perhaps spend on our own vacations and other items that are produced within the US with all that discretionary income that now, because of the tariff, goes away at the expense of those industries that were benefiting from that extra money. Folks, on balance, trade protectionism, I will argue, is a net negative to our country. Thanks for watching.